going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we've got something a little bit different. 10 unbelievable shark attacks. I've been doing a little bit of content like this recently and reacting to a little bit of stuff like this by these channels, and people are seeming to enjoy them as much as I am reacting to them. So hey, if you guys are new, subscribe. Let's check it out.
10 unbelievable shark attacks.
10 unbelievable shark attacks. Whoa, 10. What the
shark fight.
The,
the Uncle of the Year award had to go to Vance Flonzier in 2001 when he battled a shark in order to retrieve his nephew's arm from its stomach after it had been bitten off in an attack.
What?
8-year-old Jesse Arbogast was paddling in the shallow waters off the coast of Florida when a shark took off his right arm and left deep gashes in his legs.
Oh!
He was rescued from the sea and his family embarked on a dramatic rescue operation in a desperate bid to keep him alive.
Oh.
By the time an ambulance had arrived to take him to hospital, almost all the blood had drained from his body.
Oh.
But rather than leave Jesse's fate to the hands of doctors, his uncle returned to the sea and wrestled the shark onto the beach, where a park ranger shot it dead.
What?
Slitting the shark's throat, his uncle was able to retrieve the boy's missing arm before it was put on ice and rushed to hospital. After a grueling 12-hour surgery, young Jesse Arbogast was reunited with his arm and somehow made a miraculous recovery.
What? Bro, wait, did they say that was his uncle? That uncle, or that guy who retrieved the arm, is... I don't know if he's a bit silly, or if he's the greatest uncle ever. What? He jumped back in to wrestle a shark, to get it shot, and then to kill it, and then to get it... Bro, just no questions. That is incredible.
Number 9. Document that.
What?
An unnamed documentary crew were accused of risking public safety after a great white shark killed a surfer.
Oh!
The film crew had been throwing fish parts into the sea in an attempt to attract sharks to their boats off the coast of South Africa's False Bay. However, just a few days later, champion surfer David Lilienfield was dragged underwater and had his right leg torn off by a great white shark that had swum into the area. Unable to reach him until the shark had swum away, his brother watched in horror as the water turned red around him. Lilienfield's body was eventually brought onto shore, but he was already dead by the time paramedics arrived. In the aftermath of the tragic death, scientific experts as well as members of the community expressed concern that the film crew had led sharks into the area. While South Africa's government denied that the documentary makers were responsible, they revoked the crew's filming permit to pacify the public.
What the fuck? No, that is... You just killed someone for your movie. Like, you threw a bunch of shit in the water. You knew sharks were gonna come. You knew that. Nah, no. That is...
Number 8. Jaws, the true story.
Idiots.
Even though sharks kill an average of 5 people a year, they're considered to be one of the most threatening creatures lurking under the sea.
Yeah, I don't mess with
100
sharks.
years ago, people didn't even believe they were a threat. That all changed one fateful fortnight when a string of shark attacks occurred in the Jersey Shore, USA. These incidents cemented the image of sharks as the scariest mofos in the ocean. The first attack occurred on July 1st, 1916. Charles Van Sant was taking an innocent dip in the Atlantic Ocean when the beach was suddenly drowned with the sound of his screams.
Oh.
By the time he was rescued, his body had been mortally wounded. Just 5 days later, Charles Bruder was killed while swimming, with just his legless remains being recovered from the water.
Oh.
Rumors of a killer shark began circling the New Jersey community, and just a week later, a 10-year-old boy became the third victim, when he was gruesomely eaten alive.
Oh, hell no.
Soon after that, a local tailor entered the creek to search for the boy's body, but he ended up swimming straight into the jaws of the shark, dying in the attack. After 4 fatalities, the infamous shark was eventually hunted down, and its stomach was split open, spilling out human remains.
Oh, no! No, what the fuck? This is nuts.
Number 7. Side by side.
Oh no, this is not going to be
Fred
good.
Zimmerman and Randy were swimming side by side, prying seashells off the rocks of the American Mendocino
Don't tell me it got both of
when
them.
they felt a fast movement in the water.
Oh no.
Something was making a whooshing sound like a submarine.
Oh.
After being brushed by what felt like a large creature, Zimmerman spun around to see his friend being swept up by a shark, leaving nothing but a pool of red behind him. Unable to help his friend, Zimmerman swam to safety.
Whoa.
Randy's decapitated body was found a few days later, identified only by the custom wetsuit he was wearing.
Oh man, I don't mess with sharks. Tell me in the comments if you were in the water and, you know, your best friend, your brother, you know, someone you love very much had just been taken by a shark and you think there's still a chance you could save them. Do you I mean, this is all hypothetical, but I feel like I'm swimming for that shark and I'm going to stab its eyes in and shit. Like, try and... I don't know. But I feel like in the heat of the moment, you'd kind of just swim away. But I feel like it's such a tricky one. If the shark's still near me, jump on that shark. I'm going to, like, poke its eyes in. I'm going to... I don't know. I'm going to hurt it, so it lets my friend go. But then when it lets your friend go... and you start moving your friend, if there's more shark... Oh, it's a tricky situation.
Number 6.
It's too tricky.
Comeback.
Don't call
Teen
it a
surfer
comeback.
Bethany Hamilton was floating on her surfboard one morning with her arms dangling in the water when suddenly she saw something grey move underneath her. Before she knew what had happened, the water turned bright red and her left arm was missing. Hamilton was rushed to the shore, where her friend's dad worked to stop her stump from bleeding. She was driven to the hospital, but by the time she'd arrived, she'd already lost 60% of her blood and had gone into shock. Despite the trauma of the incident, Hamilton made a remarkable recovery and returned to the sea just a month later, teaching herself to surf with only one arm. Thankfully, by the time Hamilton got back to surfing, local fishermen had caught the responsible tiger shark, which still had debris from Hamilton's surfboard lining its mouth.
Oh my god!
Number 5. The Bodyguard.
Okay.
When Rob Howe, along with his teenage daughter and her friends, found themselves surrounded by a school of dolphins in an ocean off New Zealand, they had no knowledge of the imminent danger they were facing. At first, the group thought the dolphins were playful, but they became alarmed when the animals began to swim in tight circles around them, herding Howe's group tighter together. The scary reality finally hit Howe when he spotted the unmistakable outline of a shark heading their way. Amazingly, the dolphins were actually putting themselves at risk in order to save the lives of humans. The dolphins swam with the humans for 40 minutes as the group safely made their way to shore, with the shadow of the shark following them the whole way.
Damn! Hey, shout out to shout out to all my dolphins out there.
Number 4.
Hunger for gore?
Hunger for gore?
Oh no. This sounds messed
In 1984, 28-year-old Omar Congo was in the sea near the US Pacific coast with his friend Chris Rem when a massive shark rose up and grabbed him from behind. He was shaken violently before being dragged underwater. The shark eventually resurfaced, releasing Congo and swimming straight for Rem in an attempt to kill a second victim.
My god.
Incredibly, Rem acted fast and pulled his friend into a raft before escaping back to shore. Unfortunately, although Congo was breathing while on the raft, his massive wounds meant that he had bled to death by the time emergency teams had arrived.
Damn.
Number 3. Australia attacks.
Oh boy.
In what is known as one of Australia's most devastating shark attacks, in 1985, mother Shirley Ann Durden was diving for scalps near Australia's Peak Bay when a great white shark suddenly attacked her. Measuring more than 6 meters long, the shark tore Durden in half in just one strike, while her husband and 4 children watched on in horror. By the time rescuers arrived on the scene, all that remained was Durden's headless torso floating in the water. But it wasn't long before the shark returned and devoured that.
Oh my god! What a sick fucking shark! Oh man! No, that sucks. Damn!
Number 2. Into the air.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Robert Pamperin and Gerald Lira were enjoying a day on the beach when they headed to the sea for a spot of free diving, while their girlfriend stayed ashore to sunbathe. With just masks, fins and snorkels, the men headed 12 meters deep and slowly drifted apart as they explored.
Oh, brother.
Lira was near the sea floor when he noticed a dark shadow across his path. He followed the shadow and saw the large white underside of a shark, but it swiftly disappeared into the distance. Gasping for air, Lira reached the surface, where he saw his friend Pamperin above him, the bottom half of his body engulfed by the shark. Lira looked on in horror as his friend was shaken from side to side before being pulled back into the sea. He followed, attempting to distract the shark so it would release Pamperin's body, but this was sadly to no avail. He could only watch as his friend disappeared into the shark's mouth behind a cloud of crimson waves, never to be seen again. Number 1. They came for the living.
Oh no!
You know the film Open Water?
Yes.
The one where a couple are left treading water for days because their diving group left without them?
Yep.
Well, imagine how much scarier that story would be if you added in a few Japanese torpedoes and sharks.
What?
That's exactly what happened in 1945 to a Navy crew traveling on the USS Indianapolis, in what can only be described as a series of unfortunate circumstances.
You're telling me?
Almost 1,200 men were traveling on the warship when they were struck by Japanese torpedoes, which caused the ship to sink instantly.
Oh no.
Around 900 men were thrown from the ship and left to drift aimlessly in the Pacific Ocean. The Japanese were gone, but the masses of dead bodies attracted another enemy. Before the crew could grasp the situation, hundreds of sharks were surrounding the survivors, feasting on the floating dead bodies.
Ew.
And it wasn't long before they came for the living. So many of the sailors died from dehydration, drowning, or shark attacks that by the time they were rescued 4 days later, only 317 had survived.
Damn!
If you find this video interesting, then why don't you...
Over 600 of them died? And here's this motherfucker pretending none of that happened.
Head over to
You are a sick animal. No, I'm playing. Hey, that is gonna cap it off. Oh, brother. Oh, shit. After that, I need a goddamn drink of water. Have a drink with me, people, if you have water nearby. This is what I'm saying, guys. I don't mess with water like that. And people always make fun of me when I say to them, I prefer swimming pools over beaches. Okay, beaches are nice. They're cool looking. Sand is awesome. Australia has some of the greatest beaches in the world. But I do not mess with beaches. You're going into someone else's home. No. I don't mess with it. No. How? No. This is why I swim in pools. Because the worst that's going to happen at a swimming pool is other humans. So, yeah, no. I don't mess with it. But hey... Oh, brother. If there's any other videos like this you want me to react to, maybe we'll do crocodile attacks next time. But hey, that is going to cap it off, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.